I'm Jack Patrici. I run the Storytelling for Transformation project. The goal of Storytelling for Change is to pick a topic that you would like to help transform people's thinking about, to change their thinking about, and that you also as a participant are willing to explore and change your own relationship with. My opening questions were what your thoughts about money, your ideas about money over the course of your life, and how the intimate partnerships you had and the family relationships changed your relationship with money or influenced your relationships with money. Things that you wish you knew then that you know now, or things that you think are important for people to know. As we went along, participants identified the opening quote you'll see as one they'd never heard before and really liked. They identified ideas that they've come across that people have about money and poverty that were particularly hurtful to them and inaccurate, and that they hear a lot and that they hoped would change. Someone would start responding to the questions, telling a story, and then the group would pause and respond and identify the images and the moments in the story that stayed with them and moved them the most. And those images, we asked an animator to capture in a simple animation that felt a little dreamlike, because participants said, when I heard this part of the story, for example, my imagination started to move, started to wander, and we wanted to capture that feeling. Other decisions that they made were whose stories were in. Not everybody chose to have their stories as part of this. There were 14 participants, but I think there are 5 stories that ended up being woven together. And also the participants, who they are, is not orchestrated in any way. You'll see a real diversity in ethnicity, race, age, abilities, meaning physical or non-visible disabilities, and other differences, but those were just natural. Those were the folks who just showed up in the groups. Our hope is that this short film will be used as a catalyst, as a tool for community conversations about money, poverty, and relationship, and particularly domestic and sexual violence, and how that influences people's economic well-being. At a time in America where for years, working Americans, more than half, 51%, make slightly less than $30,000, there are so many people at this time that are not experiencing economic security, and yet the conversation that we hear about money seems to be focusing blame or responsibility for that distress on people who are poor or people who use public assistance. And so people's experience with that will be woven through, among other themes. So we hope you use this as a tool to start conversations in your own communities.
When I was little, I thought I wanted to be rich. I wanted to buy everything in the world. I thought that money would make me happy. I would get everything. My mom and dad were always fighting because there was never enough money. My mom hired a lady to take care of us. She lived upstairs, and my mom paid her $10 a week to keep an eye on us while my mom worked. We lived in Holyoke. Mom left for work at 5 a.m. and would get back at 5 p.m. She'll work in the tobacco fields in Connecticut. She was a single mom with 4 kids after my dad left. We were trying to take care of ourselves, but we had too little, and we burned the stove down. I felt so embarrassed. I followed in my mom's footsteps in some way. I worked in the tobacco field until like 3 days before I gave birth. When we were young, we would go to the store to steal cookies because we were hungry. One time my brother got caught. We were trying to help. If I could talk to that girl from the person I am now, I would say no matter what, with money or without money, with dad or mom, or with no dad or mom, you are going to be okay. What kept me going was seeing other people across the street, down the road a little. They had a house, a car, and clothes for their kids to wear in the pool. I thought I wanted to do that. I'm going to be like them one day. It was an inspiration, that pool. My son really knows me. If you would ask him, he would say about me, she always takes me back. She loves me unconditionally. My mom's been through a lot. She made it. Look at her, that I am a strong woman, he would say to me. I am so proud of you. You know, my mom went to the tobacco field and did it herself. Mom threw my dad out. That's because he was raping me all that time. I had a voice. She believed me. She heard me. I know I'm going to be there in a pool above the ground or below or whatever. I'm going to be there.
I was carefree as a kid. I had whatever I needed and I never worried. Whatever my parents could not get for us, my grandparents did. Every visit to my grandparents, we got a little gift. I got married young. I was married twice to two very different but controlling men. They controlled the money. There were bills to be paid, things to be paid for the kids, but I had to take care of that. With my first husband, he would spend first, and there would be very little left, and then I would have to go pay the bills. I had to talk to the bill collectors. We were renting an apartment from my sister. He would make sure we could not pay the rent, and every 3 months he would go to welfare and lie and get money for the rent. All that was put on my sister, and it was hard on my relationship with her. We were both working, but my husband was working under the table. My father then got him a real job where he worked, but then his boss gave him a warning because he called in too much. That's when he threw a tantrum like a baby. He was punching lockers. He had to be taken to the hospital because he hurt himself. He screamed he felt like strangling the kids. Who screams things like that? So that brought the Department of Children and Families into our lives. But who has to deal with DCF? Not him, me. Why? Because he's too hard to deal with. This is how it works. My second husband was a 10-year disabled combat veteran who was never really in his right mind, if I think about it. He would also spend all of the money first, and then I had a separate account with my name on it. I got what was left over to pay the bills, which was my job again. He would spend upwards of $2,000 on himself. He had an enormous knife collection. I couldn't work because he called me at work 20 to 25 times a night. I worked at the sheriff's office, and they told me that it was too disruptive, and I had to go. I ended up spending all my time managing him. The bills that I always managed to pay were all in his name, so it was he who was building credit, not me. My husband also had 2 credit cards that I was always finding a way to pay off. I did not have any of my own. He would give me jewelry, sometimes which I was always pawning to pay the credit cards. My engagement ring spent more time in the pawn shop than on my finger. After he was arrested for assaulting me and then jailed, I talked to an attorney who told me to make sure I just kept paying the mortgage. Then my husband killed himself. Now I receive Veterans Administration widow's benefits. I earned these benefits. I used to say to his psychiatrist, I should be paid to be taking care of him. I would say I'm with a dangerous psychiatric patient, ordering meds, picking them up, taking him to multiple appointments, and keeping him as calm as I can while he constantly berates and attacks us. The psychiatrist at the VA clinic would look at me and challenge me, saying, well, is he really a threat? Is he really dangerous? And I would say, Yes, he's dangerous. And I'd get a nervous giggle and nothing would happen. The truth is, if I had been paid to do the caretaking that I did, I would have had the money put away and I would have left him. When the state took over his care after he was hospitalized in a locked ward a few times, they kept returning him to me. When they finally had to keep him for a while because of his legal issues, they blew it. He died on their watch, not mine. Now I have a little extra money I can put away, and I'm taking a vacation this year, and I've not taken a vacation in 40 years. My son and I are going alone to Maine. I heard it's nice up there, and we don't know anybody. I want to buy some small things. I want to spend some money and not worry about my name being screamed across Walmart. Jacqueline!
I could hear the sound of the ice cream truck. I was 3 years old. My mother would throw 35 cents from the upstairs window for me to catch so I could get my Circus Surprise ice cream. Once, when I did not catch the coins, my neighbor came out to give me the 35 cents. My mom was raising 5 of us in the house. My stepfather was a truck driver, but also had a cleaning business. He gave my mom a certain amount of money for food and clothes. When I needed something, I would have to prepare a speech. He would ask exactly what I needed it for. I asked for as little as possible. You could not ask for $20. Once I convinced him to give me the money because I wanted to buy my mom a Hummel for her birthday. It was a little girl figure with a copper pot. She looked so free and able to be herself. From the age of 11, I worked for him in his cleaning business 7 days a week, after school and all day Saturday and Sunday, when I would work from 5 or 6 in the morning until 11 or 12 at night. Usually, there was no dinner or lunch. If I got in trouble, he would get my brother a dinner or a lunch and make me watch him eat it. I cleaned banks. I never had an account. I never got paid. Once, loose threads in the rug at the bank broke the belt of the vacuum. I ran out of the door, and all the way home, I was 15, and I started to pack my bags. My mother asked me what was the matter, and I told her, "No, he'll go first. He'll go first," she said. And when he came home, that is what she told him. She stood up for me. When I got in my first relationship, I supported the other person by working 3 jobs because they were not working. I was a bargain hunter, but even when I could afford to buy something better, I would think, the money won't always be here, and so I would buy the cheaper thing. When I met my daughter's father, things started off as equal. When she was born, he became in control of everything. I was asking for money again. I had to justify what I needed. I claimed bankruptcy after being divorced. I moved in with my next partner, who I now call the Beast. When we got together, based on what she told me, I thought things would be equal. I kept the child support in a separate account. It was just a matter of time before she started raiding it. She took full control of the money and ridiculed me for buying basics. I stopped paying all my bills and put that money towards an apartment so I could escape. I went on FreeCycle and found the things I needed for the apartment. I felt shame about not paying my bills, but I knew it was the way out. I am not very good at credit and money and that stuff yet. I don't know what it would be like to have money. What I want is to be comfortable, to support myself and my family without too much difficulty. I have a new partner. We talk about finances and we work together on the bills. We contribute equally. I work and earn my own money. I don't feel as stuck. I feel there's never enough, but it's getting better. If I could tell myself something when I was 11, it would be this. You are worth being paid money. It's all right to have a voice and to stand up for what is right.
As a child, when I got money from my stepdad, the first thing that came to mind was, oh, candy, soda, chips, toys, art supplies, cake. I thought of becoming a ballerina. My mom always worked hard. She worked so much she missed out on so many of important school events, even my elementary graduation. Everyone's parents would always come to school, and I would be the only child in my class who didn't have someone there. Stepdad had addictions and was abusive. There were many fights. Sometimes there was very little food. Looking at him was like looking into the eyes of a devil. I feel the reason my mom wouldn't leave my evil stepdad was because she was afraid she would not be able to take care of us alone. I would console her and always tell her to let him go, to get rid of him. I told my mom, we're better off, we'll be fine. Plus, you have me, Mom, and I love you with all my heart and soul. I didn't like seeing you hurt, but I could only be strong for so long. I took my bike and rode to another town, but I came back. I tried to take my own life at 11, but I came back. I even went out in search of a job, but I couldn't get hired. I was too young. I was 13, 14. I started to steal things. I stole snacks and food, drinks, shoes, toys, and bikes. It was too much for my mom. She tried to commit suicide, and we were alone with our stepfather while she was in the hospital. Later, he almost killed her, but I saved her. I saw it coming. While all the kids wanted to play outside, I refused to leave my mom with this man. I stayed and watched his every move. It was one of the scariest things in my life, feeling my mom feel helpless, the person I love most in my life. Hearing her struggle and taking shallow breaths while choking, that image never leaves my head. That feeling. After leaving him, my mom still had to ask him for money. I had to see his face. I hated him with a passion, but he was the only father I knew. I was so angry that I loved and hated him both, and I was confused. I became a mother at a young age. I was 17. At first, I was in school receiving government assistance, and it was just barely enough to get by. I saved up money to pay for all my necessities. I didn't care for myself at all. I just cared for my baby. I made sure she had everything she needed, but it was so hard. I ended up dropping out of school. I moved out at 19 on my own with the father of my daughter, but being with him felt like raising another kid. He was irresponsible, lazy, and abusive. I would watch kids all day and work second shift when there was work. He would spend all the money on crap, video game systems and video games, movies, shoes, clothes, junk food. We would get eviction notice after eviction notice. There were times when my food stamps would get taken away, and I would go a few months without them because the workers supposedly didn't receive information they asked for. While I know I sent the information, I would get super upset. What were we gonna do? I wouldn't eat. I would just snack to give me some strength because my baby's having food was my main priority. I would go without so that they would have everything they needed. There are things you do for money that you don't want to do. I would sell my belongings. Once a childhood friend offered to help me with money if I taught him how to give oral sex on a woman. He knows I am a lesbian. I really needed the money, so I said okay. He ended up forcing more than that, and who would help me then? Another reason offered to take care of me financially under the condition I have phone sex and allow him to come over to my place for the real deal. I refused. I changed my number and never spoke to him again. Once my biological father sent me money so the kids and I could fly to see him. I used part of it for the rent and part to fix my car. I bought diapers and clothes for my kids. The money didn't last long. Just as quick as it touched my hands, poof, it's gone, paying for what they need. First, I need to get my high set. Then I need to go to college, but I can't start college now. I need to save up money. I need to work on my mental disability so that I'm able to go out into this world without a panic. I don't want to be on any other type of government assistance. I want to work for my own things and take care of my family. I need to move to a place where there are more opportunities, a place where I can strive to get where I want to be in life. I want to be able to pay for all my kids to go to college. I want to travel the world and help those in need. I want to become a doctor or a teacher, someone who has a positive influence in this world. I want to change hearts. I want to help people see that even though we need money to survive in this world, it doesn't have to be so hard. I don't know why this world makes it so hard for us to survive.
I did not know American women experience this. American women have power the way she gets education from parents and school. I think they built her in a strong way. If she decided to leave a relationship, I think she gets peace of mind and material support from the government. With my people, even if you are a doctor or professional people, people will think you are a bitch. You leave the relationship, you are told we must be patient. Men can have feeling and scream, but all the responsibilities, all on obligations sit on us. To just leave obligations, you will pay for it. They built into men the power. How come? It is women who has to handle responsibilities of family, man, and herself. You call her weak. We pinch her as she is nothing. But no. My discovery is that men are selfish everywhere because we build power into them and them into power. The secret of life is vulnerability. Everything we associate with women, we hate. As a child, I never thought of money because I had everything I needed. As I grew, money became a cage. I have friends in school, they needed money and they looked for work. They had that freedom. I was too wealthy to work. You don't need to go out. Bring your friends here to watch a movie, my mother would say. I swear to God, when I was in a classroom, I would watch the girls without their fancy things, and I would try to make my rich things look like old and broken and not shiny, so that would be like them, and be free to work. Yes, I know now that you suffer here in this country too, but I have seen far worse in my country. We must have a man to survive. You must have a man to survive. You must give your freedom away to survive. I know the first morning after my wedding that my husband was selfish. I make myself a toast and jam, and he took it for himself. Then he asked me, "Where is my shirt?" All sudden, he does not know where is his shirt. I worked at last, but I was not allowed to even see my check. Let me tell you about wealth and power. I once went to see Sultan Suleiman Qasr Palace in Istanbul, Turkey. I stood inside the room with walls of real gold leaf, and I could not control myself. I could imagine. I could hear the people and smell the food and the coming and going, everyone, and I was not fooled by wealth. I felt the trap. All that gold does mean nothing to me. I could feel what is worrying all the time, that the king is going to kill me. I ran outside. My best friend think I'm a little crazy, but she loves me. I could not breathe over there. This is so simple. The idea that all religions and philosophies have come to, that if you have more than enough, you do not need gold walls. You distribute the power of the economy. You know how easy is this, and nobody wants to follow it. If you have too much, comparing myself from one to another, if we distribute between her and me, and I have enough, then she has enough too. This is easy, but we are afraid of Sultan. We are afraid of Sultan to kill us. He will kill us, so we see nothing. This is the country where we think women can speak with power. So the world needs the women of this country to see this truth. The world needs the women of this country to see this truth.